Welcome back to Hey Eintracht Frankfurt, the Bundesliga podcast covering everything there is to know in the English language about Eintracht Frankfurt. As you see my beautiful in the darkness face here, I'm Chris in the middle of Michigan, back again. I don't want to get us in trouble. I'd throw up some M&M, but Shady's back here in the shade. And then John out on the East Coast. Where are you at now, John?
I am in Virginia right now.
Virginia. Lovely. I don't know about there. We hit 60 degrees here for the first time since November. It feels like summer.
It was 65 out today. Oh, absolutely gorgeous. Tomorrow, I think it's supposed to get kind of close to 70. So, definitely going to do something outdoors tomorrow.
I took the dog out today, and I saw neighbors that I haven't seen in 5 months. It's kind of funny how that works out in this northern climate. But, they say the grass is greener on the other side of winter. We're going to talk about the grass being greener in relation to Eintracht Frankfurt today. It's been a weird week that was not all doom and gloom. We're not going to get all ranting and yelling too much, maybe a little bit here. But I'm looking forward to this one. I love being a part of this show, being back on board. So let's jump right into it here. Going back to last week, we're going to do a chronological. Let's go back to last Thursday with the men's side. Eintracht Frankfurt 2, Ajax 1 in Europa League, round of 16, leg 1 action on the road in Amsterdam. I know there's been a lot of discussion about this. Garrett did a great recap, but I want to give my two thoughts on this because I think it plays into what happened Sunday. All the bounces, is you and I are hockey guys, we call it puck luck, but all the bounces went Eintracht's way in this one. I felt like we probably weren't as good as we actually looked. Ajax really looked comfortable sitting back, like they had done their homework, that we really don't have an attack. They're just going to sit back and let us bring it. And eventually the offense will wear itself out. We got ourselves in a couple good positions and came out with a 2-1 victory. I thought the Hugo Larsson shot, took a bounce and was kind of lucky, but that's okay. That those things happen in the match, and that's what it took to get us over the hump and get things tied and then eventually taking the lead late. But it felt like one of those matches where we controlled the play, for better or worse. It wasn't a domination by any means, but it really felt like a complete end-to-end Eintracht in Europe sort of match.
For sure. In the first, 15 or so minutes, I think Brian Brobby had us in a bit of hell, obviously took the lead. After that, they kind of sat back a little bit. We settled on the ball and had most of the control of play, really. But yeah, that was Ajax's game plan, it sure seemed like. And that's fine. We played decently enough, came away with a victory. Yeah, the Larson goal, huge deflection, so that was a lot of luck, ironically, off Brobby as well. And then Elias Skiri getting the winning goal. Ajax maybe could have tied it up. They had some chances closer, later in that second half. But overall, it's a Eintracht European performance through and through, and gives us good advantage heading into Thursday.
It will never fail as good as we can look in Europe, how bad we can look in league play. So we're going to kind of tie these two matches together. We had a plan 2 minutes ago to talk about them in a different order, but I think it's important to tie the two together here, because for as good as we look on the road in European play, we look the complete opposite at home in league play against a team near the bottom of the table. Now, on Sunday, the match against Union Berlin, another 2-1 result, but this time Union Berlin in front. I don't think it was so bad so as to, just fire everybody, F it all, we're done. Like, the end of the world is not nigh because of a bad performance against a bad team. It's more the fact that this is what we've come to be, is the European giant and then the domestic average Joe. I really have a hard time, because every time we think we're over the hump with this, it's not even a diva thing. I'm not going to play with that word tonight. It's just, I feel like we get so up as a fan base, as a club, as a roster. I mean, no matter how much turnover there is from the rosters to the staff, there's so much heart and effort that goes into Europe that when we get back into league play, we come out asleep.
Yeah, and I mean, it's understandable. Europe is special. It's a different vibe. You get to face different teams. I know, personally, I was super pumped for Thursday. And Sunday, I'm thinking, all right, we got a match against Union Berlin. This will be all right. Good chance to hopefully get back on track. But I wasn't, amping for that game, hell, because of the time change. I didn't even wake up quite in time. I tuned into the game right as Batshuayi scored. So, but yeah, and it happens every year with us. When we won Europa League in 22, we completely gave away our Bundesliga season. What did we finish? 10th or 11th?
11th. Yeah.
Yeah. Just not really an acceptable league position. But again, the team woke up for Europe and won the damn thing and had to beat some really good sides along the way.
And to be fair, it's not like we came out entirely flat.
Yeah, no.
I mean, we scored in the first 13 minutes. A Batshuayi goal was, the kind of right place at the right time. Yeah. But the pressure and buildup that led to it, we deserved that early lead. But after that 20-minute or so mark, everything just kind of changed. We had one shot on target after the 20th minute against an Union Berlin team who's given up just loads of offense to everyone else in the league. It's just one of those ones that, it's why we are who we are and why it's not a diva thing. It's a cultural issue that just permeates every bit of who we are, because we joke about it. After that Ajax win, we joked about it on our HuffPod Discord chat that, this means we're going to lose to Union on the weekend. It was a joke, but we all knew it had a fair shot of happening. I want to see some fight from guys. I'm watching my fucking hockey team who's put me through as much hell in the last 2 weeks as Eintracht has, and they're fighting for their season right now. This group, we talked about it back in November when we had Omar Marmoush on a historic type of run, and we kind of all had the sense that Man City was going to pay up at the winter window. And we talked very seriously in November about how we had to bank every point possible in the Hinrunder because the Rückrunde without him was going to be not impossible, not a disaster, but we all knew it was going to be more difficult. Now we've lost 3 league games in a row. Granted, 2 of them are to the top 2 teams in the table, but are we sounding alarms yet? I mean, a loss to a team that was in a relegation battle was pretty alarming to me.
I think what's alarming is it really wasn't even a good performance against Bayern or Leverkusen either. There wasn't a ton of fight in the team in either of those games. Yeah, losing to them is whatever, that's expected. We were still in 3rd place even after losing to them. But to go out and perform the way we did in the second half against Union Berlin, I think was pretty unacceptable, really. The players, whether it's on Dino or them or what, they just fell asleep in the second half completely. Yeah, they were not great for the second half of the first half, but again, still kind of playing fine enough to keep a 1-0 lead at that point. And then, I mean, the defense was just so leaky in the second half, and thankfully, a handball saved us from being even more embarrassed. That would have put us, 40 goals conceded on the year if that had counted, which would have put our goal, or which would be the 12th worst or 12th best goals against number in the league, which is just, for a team fighting for a Champions League spot, is not good enough. We're allowing more shots on target per 90 than anyone else in the Bundesliga, and we got to clean something up here.
I mean, to be fair, you consider that goal record you just mentioned, you're right. But then, 8 of those happened over the last 2 weeks or the previous 2 weeks against Leverkusen and Bayern. Before that, I thought we had a pretty stout defensive record and averaged out over the season. I don't think the defense has been that bad. If we're allowing 2 goals a match, but we're scoring 4, nobody cares. We looked over defensive deficiencies in the spring in the fall, because we knew Marmouche and company were good for 2.5, generally 3 goals a game. And we were comfortable on the defensive end because it kind of glossed over the issues we had there. Dino, they had to make a roster move in the last minute in the lineup with Artur Tiat getting injured during the warm-ups. But to me, that's just kind of an excuse. Clubs that are in the top 4, clubs that are competing for Champions League positions, any European position, can stand a roster change in the final minutes. As it is, our positioning, our scripted formation is generally very fluid. And we have guys on the back line that are generally comfortable inside and out. But as Nathan brought up in our discussion earlier today, it's clear we lack depth, quality depth that can absorb a loss like that. He is one of our better defenders, maybe not better, but consistent defenders, and certainly the way he attacks the ball. I love that side of his game. But man, we were sitting 3rd in the league at the time. Dino can't make excuses like that. Yeah. There is no excuse for being a top 4 team and losing to the team that was in 16th. Am I just too harsh on him, or is that accurate?
No, I think that's very fair. It's a game you have to win. Everyone else is catching up to us. Mainz went ahead of us before that game. We need to put our foot down and say, look, we are a Champions League level side, because everyone wants to make Champions League, from the front office to the coaching staff to the players. And it just wasn't that kind of performance. And I think it's fair to criticize a lot of people for that. We had been holding on to 3rd for quite some time now, and just slowly letting that lead on it slip away. And now we're down to 4th, and that's very precarious, with Freiburg behind, who haven't allowed a goal in 6 games now.
Now, let me ask this one more question about the men before we talk about the women here. From the sense of where we were, which was a solidly Champions League side, taking out where we are in the table, who we've played, who we have left in the last couple months, is this a Champions League qualification group? Can this group get that done?
I think we should be able to do it. It's whether it's through Europa League or the league. I think that there is the talent there in this squad to do it. I'm not sure it's really a team that would fight for making it out of the league phase in the Champions League next year, though. And
if we qualified, I would expect some investment to match that level. We did it before. Yeah. I think we would do it again. But seriously, it comes down to whether or not we're going to fight to hold on to that spot. I think once again we're in that situation where all the eggs are in the Europa League basket. Yeah. Which is crazy, because we're sitting in a Champions League qualifying spot right now. Yep. But I don't believe this group has the heart to fight through 2 different competitions right now. Yep. And the easy way out is to face European League competition, even in a knockout scenario. Just the way we tend to play at a whole different level in Europe. And, if there's behavioral scientists out there that want to study why Eintracht is the way they are, I'd love to fund that study, because it doesn't make any sense to me how you can. Ajax fans have an axe to grind with the way that they've played recently, but the way that we looked on their home soil was something that really impressed me. The way we moved the ball at 85%, we were at 92% passing at one point when I checked. We just moved the ball right. We were making good decisions defensively. We didn't get caught out of position a lot, which is a complete opposite of everything that was happening on Sunday. So still something to figure out for Dino. The hair's not on fire yet. The seat's not hot for anyone, but it's a situation we got to figure out, because there was a nice little gap there at one point between us and the Chasers, and now everyone's solidly on our heels. We'll talk about the league standings in a bit, but let's talk about the Frauen for a little bit, because they kind of got lost in the mix on Friday. One that was thankfully on television here in the States. And then I started watching, and it was kind of a frustrating match, John. I know you were tuned in. SGS Essen has this knack for punching above their weight class against some higher teams in the table, and they kind of did it to us. It was a frustrating type of match where we had 75% possession, 2-1 final, by the way, Eintracht Frankfurt over Essen. 75% possession, and yet 5 shots on target. Their defenders blocked a ton of shots. They really did a good job of keeping the ball out on the wings and blocking crosses, and that hold-up play that we usually do real well to hit trailers in the box just wasn't there. It was as frustrating as a match as they played in a while. But of course, the 3 points come out on top is critical to Geraldine Reutler, still, for me, our player of the season so far. Absolutely on fire with the goal. Laura Prashnikar in the second half. Thoughts on the Frauen?
Yeah, I mean, it's what you expect out of Essen. They are a really solid defensive team. They always have been. They always will. You know, they don't have the means to go out and invest in their squad. They have to trust young players, and they've really built a good culture there, and they frustrated the hell out of us. They were quite a bit lucky on their goal. Roy Tiller kind of sliced a ball, and that's what let them in to equalize at the time. But yeah, it was a tough match. I think that's fine. We need to be tested. Obviously, we got smacked by Wolfsburg in the last league game, and that just awfulness. Good to get back on track with this. Second in the table now. Bayern and Wolfsburg have to play each other soon, so who knows what can happen in terms of league standings. But even with that 7-0 loss to Wolfsburg, we still got a good goal differential, which I think is going to be very important come the end of the season. I'm fine with where this team is at right now. They played well. Klein Herna back in the starting lineup, so that's nice. Obviously, Dorson's still out. Kind of sucks. But, yeah, a fine enough performance against a really solid, compact Essen side.
Yeah, not having Sarah Dorson is a tough one, because she's really, she's been the anchor of this group. She's not always on the score sheet, but she does the right thing every time the ball is near her. The rock in that center spot. But really, to the point about SGS Essen, only 20 goals allowed. To sit 9th in the table with only 20 goals allowed, that's a great defensive record. For comparison, Freiburg sitting at 5th with 22 goals allowed. So the difference is Essen has 15 goals through 16 matches. That really, they can't score the ball. And that's the biggest thing. You can't win if you don't have the most goals. So their defensive record is strong. And they've taken points away from good teams this year because of that. It felt like an escape match. We're going to talk about the one that's coming up for Eintracht in a bit, which is one that absolutely terrifies me. But the Frauen continue to win, finish the weekend second in the table, wins in 4 of the last 5, 16 matches played, 38 points, 3 behind FC Bayern, 22 match season. So there's 6 weeks left to play. Freiburg's right on our heels, tied on points. We're +9 in goal differential. This, to me, is a point where you cannot drop any more points the rest of the way. I think, Wolfsburg has Bayern left to play, but beyond that, we don't have any more room for error. We have to consider taking every point the rest of the way. I think we can be focused enough to make that happen, minimize the distractions, do what they're doing. We went through a rough patch. I think they got through that. The vibe seemed okay, even with the stressful match being played on Friday. We're going to talk about the game coming up because that's the one where I see points getting dropped. As I said, we can't drop any. I think it might happen this coming weekend. We'll talk about that in a bit. But, John, I want to talk about what happened around the rest of the men's Bundesliga this past weekend, because saying it was wild would kind of be an understatement. It was. I kind of enjoyed Frankfurt being in the separate window because there were so many fun matches to watch, cards everywhere and late goals everywhere. Just, I mean, we'll start with the big one. Bochum 3, Bayern 2. Bayern with a red card very early, blowing a lead. And I don't know if you were watching that one. To me, it was just kind of fun. Bochum has embarrassed everyone at one point or another. There are a few years that they've been up. We've been on the bad end of them before, and it was just Bayern's turn. They're not really threatened. If we're being honest, it doesn't change a lot in the table. But it was kind of fun to watch them at home get embarrassed, and that's always a good thing when Bayern loses. But
always
some other weird stuff in the table. I was talking to Garrett earlier today. He gave us our fucked up stat of the week, which I don't think it's any surprise to anyone that follows the Bundesliga. Everyone's talking about it. For the second week in a row, not a single home team won a match. I mean, I can't remember a week where a home team didn't win a match. Now it's happened 2 weeks in a row. We talked a little bit about it in our Discord chat. Is home field advantage a myth? I think it is in this sport. There are certain sports here in America with baseball. You design stadiums around your team's strengths and weakness. American football, home field advantage, the home team wins like 75%. But in European football and soccer, I feel like home field advantage is a bit of a myth because the noise affects both teams equally, whether it's quiet and dead or loud and obnoxious. It's equal both ways. The pitch is the same. There's no home field advantage from the physical aspect. I don't know. For me, this is one where I tend to say it's just a messed up stat because it's been a weird 2 weeks. Some of these results bear that out. But what do you think about home field advantage? Is it real or made up?
I think maybe there's, some bit of truth to it. But overall, these guys are professional athletes. They're doing a job. They're out there working. And I don't think that for them, the home field advantage necessarily changes a lot. I think also, although pitch sizes are slightly different, but they're all, super close.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's not really much advantage you can get from that. I think it's mostly a myth. Good teams are going to win, bad teams are going to lose, and you get kind of just random bounces here and there. Yeah, I'm on board with it's a myth kind of thing. But you know what else fucked up, though, about this home team losing stuff? The last game to have a home team win was our loss against Bayern.
Yeah. We always have to be on the bad end of a stat. It's just kind of a Frankfurt thing. But Alex Meyer once said he prefers playing on the road because it fires him up. He's got a little more energy to quiet things down and prove people wrong. And I tend to see that. I mean, as a former athlete, I definitely loved when people were yelling and jeering at me. It got me going a bit. But back to the Bundesliga stuff. I mean, you look at Werder Bremen 2, Leverkusen 0. Leipzig tying with Freiburg, not a surprising result, but the fact that no goals were scored in that one surprises me a bit. St. Pauli stealing points from Wolfsburg. I mean, I don't know. It's just an interesting time where some teams are getting desperate to help their chance of survival. And then others are floundering opportunities like we did. And it's not necessarily something that you can read into too much, but 2 weeks in a row that a home team does not win in the Bundesliga. Kind of glad we're going on the road next week. It's not a good time to be a home team.
No, it's not. Watch us be the first away team to lose now, too.
Stop. Why do you got to do this to us?
No, but I mean, what are you saying about teams, really fighting now? You're seeing that with Bochum. You're seeing that with Kiel. They've had good performances here. Heidenheim came back down 1-0 against Hoffenheim to draw and had some chances to win as well. Couldn't quite do it, but yeah, they're really scrapping.
St. Pauli pulling a draw from Wolfsburg. Didn't see that coming into the week. I know in our prediction league, everyone's scores are terrible right now because these are some weird results and weird times we're going through. But it's why the German game is so much fun. It's just very unpredictable from week to week. Yeah. It makes a really exciting product to watch. The teams fighting to get out of that relegation position. I mean, I look at Heidenheim with 2 draws over the last 3 weeks. That's only 2 points. That's not a lot. But Kiel getting 4 points over the last 2 weeks. I mean, these guys are fighting for their jobs, literally. And you're starting to see them steal points where they have no business doing such, which really concerns me with our week coming up. I got a lot of concerns there. But we're going to take a break here for a minute. Let's talk about things that help us get through our disastrous Eintracht Frankfurt performances. Sometimes it's in celebration, but certainly celebration for you last Thursday, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was posted up at the bar, had plenty of Guinness while watching the match and after the match. So that was a good time.
What have you been drinking lately? What are you drinking now?
Right now, I got some Kozel Cherny, the Kozel Dark. Good Czech beer, one of my favorites. My brother was able to find some, so had to get it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I'm on. I did a Michigan beer shopping thing today, so I'm on a pure Michigan porter from Shorts Brewing in Bel Air, Michigan. Beautiful northern Michigan. I also got a 12-pack today from Roke Brewing. They make a stout called Devil Dog, which is I would argue it's the best oatmeal stout that I've had, but they have a few different versions of it. They do a peanut butter oatmeal stout. There's a mystery one, which worries me about this variety pack, but they have a French toast Devil Dog oatmeal stout, and it is by far my favorite beer in the world by a mile. And I'm trying to save that for a good day, and I'm not sure we're going to get that from Frankfurt. So it might sit in the fridge for a bit. But yeah, it's been good food. Had some good drinks in Philly too. What was that?
Oh yeah, I'm saying I think there's potential for that to get opened on Thursday. We'll see though.
That would be a good one. Right in the middle of the workday. I know my boss wouldn't give a shit. So.
Oh right, because it's an early game too.
Oh yeah, by the way. But no, we had good drinks in Philly too. Good food. Shout out to everybody in Philly. No, I'm a little late on that, but the FC Philadelphia crew, the New York crew coming down, John coming over, I came over. It was just a great time. I love that we're doing more watch parties around the country, getting the word out there. I love when people walk in just to watch, and then they see this group of Frankfurt people, and they're like, "Oh, we didn't even know you guys existed."
Yeah.
There's not a ton of us, but that's what makes it so great. Tom did a fantastic job organizing the group this time around, and wherever he goes next, I'm going to make sure I'm there because it's just been fun everywhere we've been lately, and looking forward to doing that again. So
absolutely,
John, let's jump right into segment 2.
Let's do it.
I wanted to talk a little bit more about the table before we move on. Match day 25 just ended. Going back into league play, match day 26. We're getting to the point in the year where separation occurs. The problem is there's zero separation behind Frankfurt, sitting at 4th in the Bundesliga right now on 42 points. Freiburg is hot on our ass with 41 points. Leipzig holding that sixth final European spot with 39 points. One more loss in league play, and we could find ourselves out of Europe.
Yep.
Or at the tail end of Europe where we don't want to be. There is zero room for error right now. I said it for the women's side. They're fighting for a title. They're fighting for a Champions League qualification. There's zero room for error for them. The men are in the exact same position, but it's not just for Champions League. It's for all European competition.
Yeah. It's realistic for us to finish in 11th this year with how close a lot of the teams are. I mean, down to Augsburg, they're on 35 points in 11th right now. It's not out of the realm of possibility for them to end up with more points than us. It's do or die time in the league for the men's side.
And the teams that are behind us, not even directly behind us, but a few spots behind us that have the talent and are itching to move up, your Dortmunds, your Stuttgarts, Leipzig. I mean, we're ahead of the teams we expected to be ahead of us. Mm-hmm. And that's a precarious position to be in because we know they have the talent, they have the depth that we don't have, or in certain positions we lack. We're a couple more bad weeks from us, and now we're out of Europe entirely. And we wasted that entire performance in the first half of the season. If I put a gun to your head right now, knowing that there's 9 matches left to play, where would you have us finishing in Europe? Would you have us in the top 4?
Not right now. I'd have us in 5th place, I think.
I'm going to say 6, only because of the quality of what's behind us. And that's the concerning part for me. If we had Leipzig ahead of us, if we had Wolfsburg ahead of us, I think they played good. Couple draws lately that I thought they could have won. Like on the weekend, dropping 2 points to St. Pauli. They're having the same discussion we are. That's inexcusable for a side that wants to be in Europe this year. Mm-hmm. It goes to show, though, minus Leverkusen and Bayern up top, everyone is dropping points they're not supposed to. The Bundesliga has parity right now, maybe more so than they have in recent memory. In the past, there's been battles in positions 3, 4, 5, but then they've kind of flushed themselves out over time. And by the end, it was pretty clear who's going to Europe, who wasn't. Right now, we're as close to our odds. I'm not a bookmaker, but I would say our odds of finishing with a Champions League spot are just as high as finishing in the 10th spot. I could see it going either way. I'm with you. We're not there at Champions League quality right now. That doesn't mean we can't get back to it, but I don't see Mainz falling out of things. They've won 4 in a row. What I do see is us really struggling in the league. It's been tough. We played tough competition. I can't even say the last 3 weeks because I don't believe Union's a good team, but before that with Leverkusen and Bayern, those are points I expect to drop. But now we got to look forward a little bit more and say, hey, the opportunity to make up points is long gone. We cannot do that anymore. We have to control it match by match. So let me ask you, as I'm going to sneak peek ahead at the schedule, ignoring what's coming this weekend. If we look at the next 3 weeks beyond this weekend with Stuttgart, Bremen, well, there is a nice break in the middle, and I think that's something to bring up here too. After the upcoming match against Bochum, there's a week off. The international break might actually come at a really good time to kind of reset things. But Stuttgart, Bremen, Heidenheim, Augsburg are the next 3. I think that's a perfect window right there against teams that are decent. Minus maybe Heidenheim, with Stuttgart and Bremen that are teams that we really need to put up points against. That's why I'm not saying Champions League is out of the equation, but I think we have a good barometer this coming weekend against Bochum, Sunday, March 16, 10:30 a.m., daylight saving time, favorite time of year. I don't mind it because I don't keep a normal schedule. I sleep 6 hours one night, 10 the next, and 4 the next. It didn't affect me one bit. But, for some people, that extra hour is really good for them. But now the matches are starting 7 hours apart instead of 6 for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I don't know when they change, but
I think they changed while it's like an
5 hours
break. So I think by the time we play, well, actually, no. Looks like the Stuttgart game is scheduled for 1:30. So by the time we play Werder Bremen, it'll be back. But yeah, for the next.
The good thing about that, though, being on the East Coast, there's more bars open, more people willing to sell you alcohol at 10:30 in the morning instead of 9:30.
Very much
Make use of that for a few weeks. Well, let's get into Bochum here. I don't know for certain, but I don't believe we've ever won there since their promotion. They've been a real pain in our ass, and they've stolen points. They've run us out of the building with a 3-0 a couple years ago. It's just a brutal side to play. I hate facing them because you look at it on paper, and Brian would say it's a guarantee. I'm not buying it, but I'm bringing this up before Ajax because I want to know, how much does the Ajax match on Thursday at home affect how we do on the road at Bochum? Does it matter?
I think it's clear that it'll affect the mentality of our players. We see that where their mentality for Europe is different than that in the league. Hopefully it shouldn't affect it, right? Like, they shouldn't be affected by it, but I think it does affect it. And it affects it in the way that these players are playing another 90 minutes before this match that Bochum doesn't have to play. So there's a little bit of fatigue as well.
I feel like being at home helps that a little bit. Mm-hmm. Less day of travel. Not that Amsterdam's far. It's less than an hour flight, but it's all that logistics around it, being away from home, family, all that kind of stuff. These guys are human. They deal with that. I don't like one-day work trips, and they do it, 20 times a year. So I get it. At the same time, like, we got to stop this elevator of emotions from midweek to weekend is just got to stop. Yeah. And, we've been saying it. We need someone to care. I can't drop another F-bomb because it would be unnaturally placed, but we just need someone to care here. It's to the point where I don't know who our leaders are. Marmouche was like the physical on the pitch, get you a goal when you need it kind of guy. I think Ekitike has that characteristic about him where when his motor's running, it's not off, and he'll impact the game in a positive way. But we need that guy who's not in a scoring position. Somebody who's going to go get win a dirty ball back for us. We need a Hinteregger. We need it like a Jabril Sow, like the kind of guy that would just go in there and give up his body and wreak havoc because we need an emotional turn. And this group doesn't have. Do we have that anywhere on the roster?
Christensen? I think Christensen. I think Teot maybe as well, to a degree. Not quite as much as Christensen, but for me, Christensen's really the only guy on the roster like that, though. And having one is good, but having one isn't enough for a team that should be competing for European places. Like, you need a lot of fight from almost all the players, and you just don't see it right now.
Yeah. And I piggybacked back and forth. Ping-ponged back and forth around this schedule this week because I can't determine what's more important, how they impact each other. All the dynamics around our mental headspace and how we slump after big European nights. Legitimate concern.
Yeah.
I believe we'll take care of Ajax on Thursday. Would you agree?
I think so. Do
you know if their goalie's back?
I don't know if Pasveer is back. Henderson suspended, I believe, right after getting a yellow.
Yes, yeah, the late yellow.
Brian Brobby went off injured in their match on the weekend after like 15 minutes, so he could be out. He was really the one who looked the most dangerous against us. I'll try and find
Yeah, I think it's a situation where going on the road might be a little more precarious, but it is a tough thing to come to Frankfurt and win in Europe, especially in an elimination scenario like that. I'm fully confident in our ability to play well enough Thursday to get the win, outright win. I think a 2-1, 3-1 is not out of play just with everything on the line.
Yeah, I agree. I think there is no reason not to win this game. And Pasveer wasn't even on the bench for them this weekend, so he's probably out still.
Yep.
Ajax still playing fine. You know, obviously their fans don't love their play right now, but they're, you know, expecting excellence from that side. And Ajax is still first in the table in the Eredivisie. They've got a lot of good, young, talented kids. They can cause some issues, but we should be able to take care of it. I don't see any reason to not at least get a draw in this match.
Yep. If it is a draw, it's going to be painful to watch. We'll be well hydrated and prepared for that because I don't know about you. I'm a nervous sipper in the close games where it's like I just keep doing this because I don't know. I don't know what to do with my hands, like Ricky Bobby says. It gets really nerve-wracking in those 88th, 89th minute when the ball is sitting down there in the box and no one's getting a foot on it.
Yeah.
But it's something that is not new to us. These elimination games in Europe, we've played them for year over year now. Every player on this roster, for the most part, has experienced it because we've made deep runs in Europe. And those that are new are going to be pretty well acquainted pretty quickly when they walk out there and see what an elimination game is truly like.
And a lot of them have played in those games in their previous places as well. You know, these guys are coming from a lot of teams that aren't in Europe or aren't in different knockout competitions. So everyone out there should know the feeling and know what needs to be done.
Yep. I'm pretty confident on Thursday. Do you have an opinion? Give me a prediction.
I think we can take it 2-1. Yeah, I agree. I think 2-1 is probably what.
I'm going to go with 3-1 because I think Ajax will be down 2-1 and be pressing, and we might get something on the counter, which is something that we've usually been good at in the past, but I don't think we've looked for it enough this year is that counter play. But that's a discussion for a different time. After the match on Thursday, we go into Sunday, March 16, 10:30 a.m. Eintracht Frankfurt at VfL Bochum. I'm absolutely terrified. Truth be told, like this is I would argue that the season is